With the final shape, Bungie decided it was finally time to buff the Hunter Stasis Super, Silence and Squall, increasing its travel speed by 10% and its damage by 40%. So I wanted to make a build that would fully take advantage of this buff by using Star Eater Scales. And then I found out Star Eater Scales only buffs the tornado damage and not the shatter damage. So it was back to the drawing board. And this time I think I found something truly special. We get 73% damage resistance on a regular basis, ways to continuously slow and freeze targets, ways to instantly shatter those targets and crystals, and even ways to consistently jolt targets for more AoE damage. All of that, and it doesn't even use combination blow. So rally your fellow guardians and join us as we dive into one of my favorite stasis builds. Remember to leave a like if you find this video helpful, and if you like seeing build videos and other Destiny 2 helpful content, consider hitting that subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. With this build, we bring the new class exotic with Spirits of Renewal and Coyote or Surturachne. If you don't have either of these roles, then Renewal Grasps will do the job. With Renewal, you can use your Duskfield Grenade as a way to generate stacks of Frost Armor to take less damage from enemies. So this means you can throw your grenade at a group of enemies, then jump in it with them to start freezing them and gain stacks of your Frost Armor. Now that you're gaining stacks of damage resistance and freezing targets, we add in the aspect Ascension to instantly shatter those targets and jolt any tougher enemies that are left behind. And this is why I recommend Spirit of Coyote. Since Ascension uses a class ability charge, this gives you more wiggle room for activating it at will. You could just use Surturachne instead to gain Woven Mail and really amp up your damage resistance, but I don't really think it's necessary, so that's a backup option in my opinion. So let's dive into the build and break down how it works. Since this is our pseudo stasis build, we're of course using Silence and Squall. You throw 2 ice picks, the first dealing impact damage and freezing enemies, and the second will deal impact damage but also create a stasis tornado that will chase down the nearest enemies, dealing consistent damage and slowing them, which will eventually freeze and shatter them. This makes it a good super for both boss damage and clearing out rooms of enemies. As for the abilities, I'm taking Gambler's Dodge so that we can dodge near enemies to get back our melee. And for the melee, I'm taking Withering Blade. With this melee, we can throw a stasis shuriken that will ricochet between up to 3 targets, damaging and slowing them. It also innately gets 2 charges. And for our grenade, we're taking the Duskfield Grenade. With this grenade, it creates a slowing field that will eventually freeze targets inside. We mainly take this for the interaction it has between Spirit of Renewal to give us more damage resistance. As for the aspects, I'm taking Winter Shroud. When people see this aspect, they think about how you can dodge near enemies to slow them, but that's not why we're taking it. Heck, we're not even going to be dodging that much. The real reason we take this is for its ability to give us 300% increased class ability regeneration rate whenever we slow a target. This only lasts for 3 seconds, but with 2 melees and a grenade to slow targets with, we can use this to gain back our dodge at a rapid rate, and we aim to get back our class ability so that we can use our next aspect, Ascension. This allows you to activate helicopter mode to do 3 things: amplify you and nearby teammates, jolt nearby targets, and deal AoE damage over a small radius. The beautiful thing is that this season, while amplified, you gain additional 30% damage resistance, meaning that you'll constantly be taking less damage. But this AoE damage also shatters both crystals and frozen enemies, so you can use your Ascension to quickly gain damage resistance, instantly shatter, and add jolt into the mix. When it comes to the fragments, the first fragment is a no-brainer for a stasis build. We're taking Facet of Ruin to increase the size and damage from all of our shatter damage. We then take Facet of Protection so that when we're surrounded, we gain 15% damage resistance. We end up being surrounded when using our Ascension, so this helps keep you safe before you gain increased damage resistance when being amplified. So we also take Facet of Purpose, where based on your super, when you pick up an Orb of Power, you'll get an elemental buff. Since we're on a stasis super, we get 2 stacks of Frost Armor for 10 seconds. We gain Frost Armor from our grenade, though we won't always have it active, so this gives us another way to keep our uptime on our Frost Armor higher. We also then take Facet of Balance so that rapid kills with light damage will give you melee energy, and rapid kills with darkness damage will give you grenade energy. Both of these apply since we'll be shattering a ton of enemies and killing with Ascension and Jolt. We then take Facet of Awakening. Now rapid kills will also spawn an elemental pickup based on the source of damage. With this build, this mainly means Stasis Shards, which will give melee energy, and Ionic Traces, which give you energy to all of your abilities. And finally, we take Facet of Devotion, so that killing enemies affected by a darkness debuff will give you additional light transcendent energy. We end up dealing a ton of darkness damage with stasis, so this helps fill up that light transcendent meter a bit quicker. So the gameplay loop goes like this. Throw your grenade at a group of enemies to start slowing them. As you approach, you'll proc Facet of Protection to take less damage. Enemies in your grenade will also deal less damage, and you'll start gaining stacks of frost armor once inside. And once those enemies are frozen, pop your Ascension to shatter them and go Amplified for even more damage reduction. After using your Ascension, throw a shuriken to slow targets, which will then start regenning your class ability. Continue that cycle, or just pop Ascension whenever your Amplified buff runs out. So looking at our stats, first up we're going for Resilience and I'm shooting for 100. In any endgame activity, this is a must. We have numerous ways to gain extra damage resistance, which just stacks with this. After that, I like to shoot for 100 Discipline. The Duskfield Grenade not only slows to get back your class ability, but also gives you stacks of frost armor, so we want to use it often. And finally, I shoot for 70 Strength. Since both our melee and our grenade get back our class ability, I want to have high uptimes on both. And taking a look at our armor mods, for our helmet, I'm taking Harmonic Siphon, so that rapidly killing with stasis weapons will create orbs. Orbs give weapon damage, frost armor, and radiant, so we'll need a way to create tons of orbs. Since this build is for team activities, I like to take Heavy Ammo Finder and Scout to create more heavy ammo for us and our team. And for the gauntlet mods, first up, I'm taking Harmonic Loader. I like to use stasis weapons with this build, so I'm taking Harmonic Loader to increase the reload speed of my primary and heavy weapons. I'm also going to take the wombo combo of Momentum Transfer and Impact Induction, so that when we use our grenade, we get melee energy, and when we use our melee, we get grenade energy. We'll be using both very often, so this helps generate even more energy overall. As for the chest mods, I'm taking 3 resistance mods. I usually like to do 2 elements and a melee resistance. We tend to get up close and personal, so melee resistance helps. But if you're running an activity with certain damage type, feel free to bring elemental resistance that matches that type. As for the leg mods, I'm taking Recuperation. We have a ton of damage resistance, so I take Recuperation, so we can now use orbs to give us a bump of health. Then I take 2 Stasis Weapon Surge mods to help boost the weapon damage from our primary and our heavy weapon by 17%. And when it comes to the class mods, typically, I'm a sucker for mods like Bomber, Powerful Attraction, and Reaper, but sadly, Ascension doesn't proc any class ability mods, so we only have a few options to work with here. First, I'm taking Font of Restoration, so that we gain 30 to our recovery while we have armor charge. Then I take Time Dilation, so that we can extend the time we hold armor charge from 30 seconds total to 45 seconds total, giving us a higher uptime. And finally, I take Proximity Ward, so that we get an overshield when using a finisher. This isn't really necessary, but in hard content, that finisher can give you enough time to start your health regen and could end up saving your life. As for the artifact mods, we want to take Creeping Chill, so that stasis weapons on slowed or frozen targets create a slowing burst, which will in turn help get back your class ability. We then take Radiant Orbs to become radiant by picking up an orb, and we also take Galvanic Armor to gain that 30% damage resistance when amplified, which is every time you use your Ascension. And finally, we take Shield Crush to gain increased grenade regen and melee regen whenever we have our elemental buffs active. When it comes to the weapons, for our kinetic slot, I want to take a stasis weapon in the primary slot so we can take advantage of weapon surge as well as artifact mods to spread even more slowing. Burglass Curve is actually a ton of fun to use, since it'll give you an easy way to create a ton of crystals to shatter. But if you don't want to use the exotic for this slot, there are plenty of great options for stasis weapon. A few of my favorites are Bold Endings, which is a burst hand cannon with headstone and demo to create more crystals and generate a ton of grenade energy. Hermetic V is a great stasis pulse rifle that can roll with headstone and enlighten action. Or you can even take Vulpecula, which can roll with shoot to loot and explosive payload for easy ammo and orb pickup. For the energy slot, if you have the exotic slot open, Still Hunt will be absolutely cracked in Act 2, since we're getting new artifact perks that will increase its damage even further. Otherwise, you could take something like Indebted Kindness or a Baron Action that's also coming in Season 2, since rocket-assisted sidearms feel really good right now. And for that heavy slot, we want to bring a stasis heavy weapon to take advantage of those 2 weapon surge mods. Salvation's Grip is a fun option to use, but it's not very practical for DPS phases. Winter Bite is in the same realm since it's fantastic for ad clearing, but but again, not the best for damage phases. The Typhon GL5 is pretty good option since it can roll with Explosive Light that will deal really good burst damage. Or you could take Cold Comfort with Envious and Bait and Switch to deal some really good boss DPS. So there you have it, Guardians. We've covered a build that focuses on stacking high damage resistance with a ton of shatter damage to clear out a ton of enemies. But I have one question for you. Have you thought to yourself, hey, I have a build that is way better than this one? Well, soon I'm going to be starting a series where I'm showing off viewer builds. Everything from the most busted and meta builds to goofy interactions that give you that spark of joy. If you're interested, there will be a link to my Discord in the description, where you can submit a build of your own to have a chance to be featured in one of my videos. So if you found this video helpful or just enjoyed seeing a new perspective, feel free to like the video and comment down below what you might change or how you'd improve the Stasis Renewal build. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech, signing off. See you on the next adventure, Guardians.